What I did is I had this little CNC machine, 3018 model number, 300 centimeters, millimeters this way and 180 millimeters this way. And what used to, the spindle and this holder was all this, made out of plastic, little tiny little motor, which was the spindle, and then little tiny NEMA 17 motor stepper. And so this thing vibrated and did not really, wasn't that strong and didn't have very high RPM. So for some things I want to do, I needed a little higher RPM and a little bit more robust. So this thing goes up to 10,000 RPM. And what I did is I took this off the railings, which is these two holes here were on this and that rod. And then in the center where the thread is, that's where the thread was. But it was not in a kickback or lockback, whatever the heck the name is, that so this could have locked up going one or the other direction. But this one has a special knot for anti-kicking or anti-knocking, whatever it's called. Anyway, so this is how it looks from front. I'm going to take this off, and I have this little remote control that I can control it without a computer. And so this here is the Z's up and down, and this one is up now. One other thing is improvement is that I can actually use this to dial it in by manually. So that's also a very nice thing. That's a NEMA 23. Anyway, then this here, this spindle needs its own power supply and its own speed control and its own power. And so that's what this whole thing is all about. And it's connected directly through the power line. And basically I can just control the speed from here, how fast I want to dial it. I'm going to make a dial in here after I use my gizmo, which is right here, that I'm going to measure the speed, and I'm going to demonstrate it in a second. So let me show you from behind the changes. So I'm doing all this, holding my phone and using just one hand. So this here is the power supply for the controller itself. This is the power for the Y. And I wanted to show you this interesting contraption in here. So if this wasn't here, I could have mounted these. Let's see, where's my little pointer I had a second ago here? There we go. There is two mounting holes, and they slide into this little slot in here and get knotted through this knot right here. A bolt, I'm sorry. And that knot is right there. And in here, I was able to do both of them, but this would have to be wider, one extra 20 millimeters or whatever the difference is. And so I just had to put in one of them, and it works fine. Now, this is that anti-knocking and anti-locking system that works. There is a spring in here, and then you make this as tight as you can, push it in before you thread through it, and that what moves it on the X direction. So from behind it looks nothing important, nothing very interesting, but it works, and that's the main thing. So now I'm going to try to demonstrate with just one hand of how we can measure the speed. So on the spindle here, this is a fan actually, which was off-centered, and it's still off-centered, and I'm going to have to put some tapes to balance it better, because as you can see in here, I took off a little bit too much material, but I don't want to take any more, because then the fan wouldn't really work. and the fan is trying to cool this motor, this spindle, which gets hot. So anyway, so on the side, I'm going to turn it on, and so that's the main power. And then, as you can see, it's spinning now, which you can probably hear it rather than see it, but you can see that when I put this pointer there. And then here is the speed control. So this is 10,000 RPM. And the way I'm going to prove it to you is I'm going to aim it at this. And, whoops, sorry about that. I need to go to this position. Oh, I don't see my... Hold on. Did my tape fell off? No, the tape is there. Okay, so maybe we are not getting the correct light. Hold on. It has to have a reflective. Okay. I'm going to turn it back on. And then push this button here. And there it is. 10,922 rotations. As soon as I move my hand the wrong way, but anyway, it's almost 11,000 RPM. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark in here 1100, and then I'm going to go down by 1,000 and make a little cover here. That's going to tell me what speed I'm going to dial in, because speed is very important when you're working with a CNC. And because it doesn't have a speed control any other than just this knob, I'm going to have to basically make my own dial. So that's all about making my CNC to work. I don't know if you ever want to do this on your own, but you can order these parts. This is separate. This is separate. The NEMA is separate. And then these blocks are separate with the knot. So you have to buy different kits. So this is one kit. This is a second kit. And this whole thing is third. And then the blocks are the fourth kit. And it kind of limits a little bit what I can do, how high this part can be. But it doesn't bother me that much because I'm not going to have it very tall. And I can mount it also farther here, and then this part can go under this part. So it's not bothering me that it's sticking farther down, but it has a way longer Z option up and down. Okay.